Roger Moore isn't here.
No, he's not, is he? What is that?
It's my Alfa Romeo racing suit. In an Alfa Romeo.
Tremendous.
In an Alfa Romeo. Looking good is more important than looking where you're going.
Oh, that's a shame.
When are you going to do that then?
Hi, good morning or afternoon.
That can't be the introduction.
Okay, well, do whatever you need to do.
Okay, I guess I'll introduce everyone since I'm the president, even though I've never done this before. It's fine. Hello, this is the Anthropology Club. I'm Esther Land, the president, and we have Jack Ramirez Bernal here, the vice president, and we also have a guest with us today, Rebekah Land.
Hi, everyone. So I'm so excited you guys invited me to be on. This is quite a treat. Not every day that we get to do something different, I guess.
Yay!
Okay, so I guess
So Rebekah, how do you define style?
Okay, style. I would say that is kind of if you think about your life, it's more like the mixture between who you have to be that day and also who you authentically are. And it's that blend together when those two overlap that your true style as an individual comes out. Yeah, and I mean, I think that there's like 4 components of style whenever you're looking at it. I think first thing you want to do is define your keywords, like maybe you're dramatic, maybe you're classic, and maybe you like a lot of earthy tones and earthy vibes. So define your keywords. And I find a lot of times when people are about to walk out the door, they kind of look at themselves and this doesn't feel like me and I'm not sure why. Usually it's because they're missing a keyword. Maybe they need the outfit to be more classic or more dramatic, or maybe they forgot the earthy vibe to it.
Yeah. So then, Jack, did you have any comments about that?
Yes. When you define earth look, are you meaning a lot of browns or kind of nature theme?
It's kind of depending on the person themselves, because these are keywords that are supposed to represent what they feel their style is. So I think if you're someone who likes a lot of nature themes, like maybe some linen or cotton or that natural fibers to it, or maybe you're an organic shopper, then maybe that's what earthy means to you. But maybe, let's say for Esther, I know in her wardrobe, she does a lot of olive green, orange, and brown. And I think I would define one of her keywords as maybe earthy of some sort as well.
Okay, I get it now. So it does not involve a lot of sweatshops. Sweet.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, it could be whichever way you want to take it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting that you said that kind of style is a combination of who you feel you need to be and who you want to be. So then how would that be applied in like fashion shows and such? Are those runways, are they going to be who the designer feels that they need to be? Or is it who the designer thinks that everyone else should feel that they need to be?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question, because I think that some designers really cater to who they believe their target market is evolving to. Maybe they think that women are becoming more independent in this day and age, and they'll incorporate like more leather or more studs or more harsher cutting lines, more masculine geometric shapes in there. But then also you've got other individuals, like let's say Alexander McQueen, when he was going through all of his fashion shows, they completely represented who he felt like he was. And let's say he's going through a very turbulent time, you'll see black covering his lines that he's producing. Or let's say he's just in love with gold right then because he just thinks that we're coming to a new age. Then all of a sudden his whole line was gold, and it very much followed him. And a lot of designers, they're quite emotional, turbulent people. So it's nice when you can see that in the lines. It's always kind of fun. Yeah.
It is kind of fun, but to be honest, I think when it comes to even present day fashion, I think it's really gone not so great. I think, well, what I'm trying to say is, I think recent fashion is not as good looking as it used to be before. It's all bright colors, a lot of baggy outfits. I don't know why people are just thinking that's fashionable.
Are you more of a classic person?
Yes, I am.
Oh, nice. All the way. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so maybe for you, maybe like Ralph Lauren and Tom Ford and maybe Chanel, like maybe those three just like hit the nail on the head for you every time. That really resonates, perhaps. Because they're the ones that are less turbulent on the runways.
Yes. Yes, in fact, you actually hit the hammer about Ralph Lauren. I definitely am a heavy purchaser on that one.
Yeah.
I mean,
Maybe could I maybe also say that maybe another word of yours maybe could be maybe American or sportswear, or I don't know, who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. I tend to incline more with European sense of fashion than the American one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the American is pretty annoying and especially like for some reason I don't understand why Americans have this sense of wearing athletic clothing even though they're not doing exercise.
Actually, funny you should mention that. We actually think it's possibly linked more to the women's ideal body going a little bit extreme, like with the rise in social media. We've got the rise of people wearing a lot of padded garments and a lot of photoshopped things to disproportionate figures. Think Kim Kardashian. And so if you think about, okay, can Kim Kardashian just walk out and buy any item and wear it and look great? Absolutely not. She needs something stretchy. She needs something tied in around the waist and kind of figure hugging so that it can flex to her overly curvaceous body that has been plastic surgery and et cetera or whatever. So the thing is that as more women are using the gym in order to morph their bodies into an hourglass, they're finding that it's actually very, very difficult to dress like Europeans. It's difficult to wear a black looser tank top and a black pair of jeans when the only clothes that fit their body is the athleisure style. And then like we've got Rihanna launching her lingerie brand Fenty that kind of just completely embodies like, hey, our shapes are morphing now. We don't have the same shapes we used to. We're way more curvaceous, and we keep doing our ab exercises, and we keep wearing these corsets to emphasize that hourglass. So it's definitely a struggle, I think, right now for Americans to find clothes that fit them and tailor to their bodies well.
So you're basically the reason why American fashion or sense of clothing fashion is bad is because we're fat.
Not necessarily fat, but most American women these days, they don't want to look like Kate Moss. They don't want to be very, very thin. They want to be curvaceous. I'll hear women when I'm working out with them, they'll say things like, okay, I'll work out with you, but I need you to make sure that I don't lose my curves. And so that's something conscientious. I'll have to, modify a lot of their training workouts in order to target muscles and using weights in order to make their bodies look more Kim Kardashian-like. So it's not necessarily fat. It's more like definitely emphasizing the disproportionate waist to curve ratio.
Whereas Europeans are more slender.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. You'll never hear a say, oh, I would hate to lose my, my curves. You'd never hear a European say that. A European would say, oh, I look straight and I love it.
Well, to be honest, Europeans will mostly get drunk and get more drunk and mind their own business.
Yeah, who knows how that plays out. Maybe they drink more than they eat, so.
Yeah, and that's an interesting thing you say about how clothing is not just like it also helps define one's lifestyle, as how the how their workout routines. I think that could be something that we can define as fashion, as a means of how we live our lives, not just the way we look, but the way we act.
Yeah, that's a deep thought. Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, this could, you could see that in, like in Europe, you'll see a lot of neutrals and a lot of blacks, but you won't really see them smile and act all enthusiastic and over the top and Instagramming everything the way you'd see more in America. So you kind of wonder, like, do we present this vibe and then ask our clothes to imitate the outrageous behavior with it, or do we adapt to our clothes themselves? Are we actually inspired by our outfit, and do we morph to that? Do we shift on to a more non-smile, nonchalant, all black ensemble, cool vibe because we're wearing black? Or so do we kind of like, is it the chicken or the egg or the chicken that comes first?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean that's true. I mean, to be honest, I really like wearing a lot of black. I think like a decent amount of black, probably mixed in with, I guess, a little bit of white.
You wear a lot of blue too.
Yes, I do, because I don't know why. I guess blue is my favorite color.
Yeah. I mean, it could work also. Like, I mean, a lot of people will say that they look better in black, and a lot of people will say they look better in navy blue. So depending on kind of your undertones and your color analysis too. So that could definitely play into it as well.
Yeah, speaking of which, I know that there's a lot more emphasis on the undertones of your skin or your hair color or your eye color. So how does that all play into fashion? And also with new colors coming in style, how does that play into what each person's color scheme should be?
Yeah, I mean, it would be a question that would be a terrible idea to just completely take a whole fashion line, or if you knew the colors of the year were mustard yellow, green, mint green, and rust brown, it'd be a terrible idea to take all three of those into your color palette if you're the type of person who is more fair coloring, and maybe you've got different undertones that don't work well. I mean, we don't have to go into all of that. I know it's a little complicated for a short speech, but a lot of times I would recommend just taking the one color palette, the one color that you like, that you feel the most drawn to, and incorporate that in. Maybe two. I would try to only incorporate one new color each season, maybe two if you're feeling ambitious, but because then you can switch it out the next season and your core wardrobe is still very kind of more classic, more basic. It's just so much easier to switch it out.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we could do that, but then again, this is Texas, and most of the time it comprises of shorts, whatever Austin Tyler shirt you're gonna be wearing on, and sandals. So I guess that will mostly apply to something that actually, like a culture that actually cares about fashion.
Yeah, so it definitely depends on where you want to go with this, and if you're going to actually wear your wardrobe every day, or if it's just kind of this idea you'll never get around to.
Yeah. And actually, Jack mentioned something before about how America is more baggy clothes, kind of. You see that trend sometimes. And so I was kind of wondering about how sometimes, like, baggy jeans or really high-waisted pants will be in season.
You mean low-waisted pants?
I mean, there have been both seasons. But yeah, either high-waisted or whatnot. But then everyone's bodies is different. So, how does that all play into what the fashion trends are? And
yeah, it's one of those things that there's going to be like 4 to 7 new trends, and if you are the type of person that wants to look on trend, I think that's very, very difficult to look completely exactly you're spot on all the trends. I mean, a lot of people don't prefer that at all. A lot of people just want to wear their comfortable clothes if they're the type of person that values that more over kind of curating this image or letting their style reflect their personality. That's definitely effort that it has to be worth it to the person. But if it is worth it to the person, then definitely picking the pieces that resonate the most with them as an individual. If you're kind of earthy and bohemian, then when high-waisted baggy pants are in, maybe you really want to go with that. Maybe that actually just makes you really happy. Or what if you don't? That's all right. I mean, just if you still want to incorporate the bohemian trend, but maybe you're let's say you're a pear-shaped woman. She would not want to wear baggy jeans because that's emphasizing too much weight on the bottom. She would want to emphasize a little bit more weight on the top to kind of balance it out. So maybe she wants the bohemian sweater while her friend who's a triangle, broad shoulders and narrow hips, maybe that woman wants to wear the baggy jeans to kind of proportionally play with her proportions and give a very balanced effect. So it's kind of looking at the pieces and then thinking, okay, does this emphasize the top, the bottom, or if you're just a very classic hourglass, I know you're an hourglass sister and a very classic. So if you did a large sweater or a large pants, both of those would look equally bad on you because it throws off both of your proportions, which are already symmetric. You just want to keep with the symmetry and keep with the balance. So just kind of playing and adding the elements that you want to add. Maybe for you, that might actually just be a necklace. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Any thoughts, Jack?
Yes, I mean, that is an interesting analysis about fashion from a woman's perspective. As a guy,
that's true. I can't imagine you jumping on the bohemian trend. I mean, if you do, you might want to move to Hawaii.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, as guys, at least from what I know, we're usually kind of like whatever looks good, looks clean, doesn't smell bad, and just sticks to landing.
Yeah, for sure. I guess I would definitely say, though, sometimes I meet guys who are already extremely balanced and extremely proportional, their bone structure and all that. And in those cases, then that's something that like you definitely don't want to do the overlong trench coat, the overlong black coat, the kind of more statement pieces, or not statement pieces, for example, but kind of something with a heavier, thicker fabric on your shoulders all the time. Or sorry, if you're already more balanced, then yeah, don't throw off the balance. But maybe if you're a man that is more collecting weight in his middle already, maybe you're getting older, or maybe you've just always had weight in that area, I would definitely recommend, especially in winter times, just thicker fabrics on your as a jacket as a whole, because that adds so much more structure and it just gives that thick polished look that resonates already with the dense and the bone massity and your mass as itself. You don't want to be somebody that's very broad, very thick, wearing very flimsy, thin fabrics. You would look kind of a little bit awkward. Like when Captain America first blew up and got his muscles, he looked incredibly awkward in very tight, very thin clothes. It looked very bad. But if you're a man who's got a lighter bone density and a lighter mass structure, then you can put on a linen button shirt and just look great in it, just look fantastic. So, and then also, I guess just one more point would be, think about the lines in your face. If you are someone who's very sharp, you will actually look phenomenal in black, in a coat with these sharp geometric lapels. That just looks phenomenal on you, or even a tie having those geometric patterns to balance off and reflect. And what I'm talking about is the Keeb body type kind of, and he's the one that kind of goes into, you want your clothes to somewhat reflect the geometric shapes in your face and in your bone structure already. So, but if you're someone with a more rounder face, then it actually, like, a polka dotted tie looks great on you, or like a tie with kind of like a more fluid design with the swirls or aesthetics, kind of a more softer lines. You don't want, if your face is already structured and hard, you don't want to do anything soft. You want to do more structure and hard, and vice versa.
Wow, that's a lot to take in.
Yeah, sorry, I was I was thinking like maybe we shouldn't go that far into it, but if you are a man, I would highly recommend looking up the Keeb body type analysis, because that really plays onto the bones themselves and looking harmonious with the prints and the tailoring that you do. So, highly recommend.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. Think of that if you're a guy, you're listening to this. Definitely think about it.
Yeah, and also Keeb also plays into the actual weight of the fabric, and I kind of alluded to that, but yeah, just softer weights look better on people with round features, even in their nose and lips and eyes, and harder, heavier. Think tweed, think leather, think satin. All those are kind of sharper, and they're very harmonious. Again, with the sharper looking angles, if you've got those in your face.
Mm-hmm. I know for me, I tend to like very solid colors and not as much pattern. But then kind of talking about the Keeb body types, I know that I'm a classic because you talked about that with me before. But then classics also look better in like slight patterns, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, something like not good point. Yeah, something you don't want to do like a big pattern, like a big like artistic flower going down on like a long skirt. That's definitely going to throw you completely off balance and just going to swallow you up. But doing just a slight pattern in a very balanced way, like think buttons all the way down, think maybe a small chevron, or even a small flower, like not too much of it, but just kind of very even 4 inches apart each of the print. That looks incredible on you. So
yeah. And then also, I tend to not go for those things as much. So then it's kind of the balance between, do I want to play to my body type, or do I want to just do what I want to do, which is just wear neutrals with one color and no patterns and stuff? Or am I just supposed to go off and follow the rules for classics and whatnot? So it's that balance, isn't it?
Oh yeah, for sure. And that's what I recommend. Like, I think the first part of fashion is really, what are your 3 keywords? Because if you're a classic type of body type, if you've got classic features, not too much sharp angles, not too much soft angles, just very balanced, then in that case, if one of your keywords on who you feel you are is drama or dramatic or bold, then absolutely you kind of always want to be thinking, yes, I do need to style myself in a classic way, but I need to remember that I always need that bold element in my outfit, or else I won't feel like myself. And you won't give off a bold vibe if you just follow rules.
Yeah.
And unless your rules happen to be all bold all the time, like for example, like a dramatic body type, that's mine. I've got a lot of angles in mine, and so when I wear a lot of angles, I look just super normal. It looks very balanced on me, and so but I don't want to be drama all the time, and so I always try to play it a little bit back, even though my type is not technically a super big advocate of that, but I want to look a little more down to earth than Black Regina Mills from Once Upon a Time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I do have a question about how, kind of from an anthropological perspective, but Jack, did you have anything to say before that?
Nope.
All right, cool. So, that this is the Anthropology Club, so we're kind of looking at it through how does this affect all of humanity? So kind of just, could you enlighten us a little bit about what your thoughts are on fashion
Sure.
and perspective?
Okay, so we've got, oh gosh, I could go on for a while, but just kind of a brief overview. We've got 1920s, women coming into the workforce, women moving into the big city. They want to be taken seriously. What does a woman do when she wants to be taken seriously? She cuts her hair and she wears more straight lines. Bam. Then we've got the flapper dress era with there's no waist emphasis. There's no curves whatsoever. All the women's hair are short. And so it's them trying to prove themselves to the men for that period of time. And then we've got 1950s, 1940s. What are we recommended to do? We need to take a step back. We need to raise children. Our role is different for all of society, for the health of the society. We need to create a baby boomer generation. And so we wear fuller skirts because we're getting pregnant all the time. We wear very curly hair because that is emphasizing a feminine quality, which is desirable for the state of the moment. That is what we need to be. And that's what the advertisements also are hugely emphasizing, is what women should be. And then the men, on the other hand, that's interesting because we've got we've got higher waisted in the kind of the 20s, the 30s. We've got men with like a higher waist kind of, and that's emphasizing like, oh, we're all just one, like all together. It's kind of this, it kind of gives this chummy feel, but then you've got a little bit later, a couple decades later, we've got them with their sharper, longer coats, with their or the sharper, or the buttons, they go differently, and the hats go differently. It's not the bowl hat anymore with the round circular that looks very like non-confrontational. It looks very, it shifts over into the 40s and 50s being very sharp, because then we want men to be all achievers in the country, and we emphasize the fact that we want men to be stronger, so we put thicker shoulder pads in their shoulders and etc. And we dress them more in black, whereas before the 1940s it looked like it was very dominantly browns and grays that men wore. And now it's very expected that businessmen wear black, because they're supposed to be a little bit more on top of their game and a little bit less turbulent. They're not supposed to be so. I mean, in my opinion, it seems like in the current times it's desirable to be who is the star on 50 Shades of Grey? Who is the guy?
Sure.
Something gray, and to be him, to be kind of emotionless. That's very cool. So it's interesting to see kind of the shift, and now maybe you see like men with cool silver watches, or so it's just
yeah, for sure.
I'm not a big fan of the silver watch. Any watch that has metal. I like the leather band watches.
You are European. That's funny, but I'm sure people there's definitely a demographic listening that is also with you, thinking, am I just the only European here in America that just feels like the style has all gone downhill? I'm sure there's a crowd excited that you're championing that.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty interesting. Like you said, sometimes the fashion, the culture will influence clothing, and there'll be like those like me who want to like retain some of the retro and somewhat could say traditional sense of styling. Me personally, one of the questions I'm trying to understand is why Americans have just rejected the concept of a four-pocketed safari jacket for men.
Yeah, it does. Compared to other countries, I haven't traveled a lot, just a little bit, but it seems like in America it is more, okay, how hard can you work, and let's value you based on how busy you are. And if you're a very busy, very kind of your own person, very achievement oriented, and you're supposed to just work, then it does seem like we are definitely not pushing for that relaxed wear the leather watch, kind of just go with the classic vibes, don't stand out too much. It seems like we're all crying for attention, basically, kind of against each other with our Instagrams or with our work ethic.
Mm. Yeah, and that does kind of go back to, I was thinking, I don't even remember when it was, but when the men would wear the leggings and basically wear the dresses.
No.
Yeah, Jackie'd look great in that.
All 17th century Louis XVI.
Exactly.
That's funny.
Yeah, but then...
heels were started by men.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Yeah, way back in the day when kings wanted to look a little taller, but also to walk along the streets and not get mud on their shoes. That's funny.
Back in the good old days that you could only wear shoes if you're rich enough.
Yeah.
Yep. Then the style changed so dramatically from then to now. And it seems like back then, they had kind of frills on their stuff.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
And it had that sort of luxurious feel that they don't need to go out and be busy. They're just kind of chill and laid back.
Yeah.
But then nowadays, you see people who are the royalty of this century, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all in suits and who knows what.
They need to look busy, so... they need to be busy so that their country can look up to them. That is something desirable. To get something done, that's a desirable quality in this day and age. Whereas, years ago, a couple hundred years ago, back 1800s, just not that long ago, it was desirable to have 3 changes of outfits and for you to have a riding suit and go riding halfway into your day. So that's interesting. Like the men just, time to ride. Let's go hunt. Would we catch anything? Maybe not. Who cares? Kind of thing. It's their version of golfing, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, that's true. Then again, when are they going to bring the capes back? I think we need capes.
That's true. I agree.
You guys start a movement.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, why? I mean, to be honest, I think. Fuck. I'm sorry. I had a thought and I literally just lost what I was gonna say.
No worries.
Yeah, continue amongst yourself. Continue amongst yourself until I get my brainwave back on.
Okay. So capes. That's interesting. I think it was 1800s. I remember seeing pictures of. Think Jane Austen, Pride and Prejudice era. You're looking at the men with their capes and their top hats. That's not the most practical outerwear, but perhaps for them it was. Perhaps like the capes were, for all we know, made differently to hold off the rain or whatnot. And that was just a very real thing that, it rains a lot in London, so it would make sense that they would have top hats and capes to cover rain and then take it off and still have their coat to be warm because there's no central heating and etc. Let's just one extra layer that's easy to layer on top of another. So that kind of makes practical sense for the London area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, I would wear a cape not for the practical side of it, but just to feel cool,
Yeah.
Feel like a superhero.
Yeah. That's great.
Cape, cloaks, relive your fantasy, fictional superhero fantasies.
Yeah, exactly.
To be honest, I think it'd be really cool. Like, you just, say you're going to the class, and then just, you go in there, and you have to dramatically take off your cape.
That's drama.
Oh, I'm totally gonna do that.
Just put it back on, just, kind of exit like El Zorro or something like that.
Exactly.
That was great. Awesome.
I just bring back the coat hanger back into fashion.
Coat hanger? Wait, explain?
The coat hanger. You don't know what that is? Or you're too young for that?
I might be too young for that then. What was the coat hanger?
You know, like what they have in restaurants, you know, or like at the entrance of offices.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I get
Wait
you.
a second. You mean like someone to take your coat, like a coat check at the door or something?
No, it's so usually it's either in the wall hanging there, or sometimes just a big pole, where you just
Yeah.
literally hang your coat.
Yeah.
But then somebody might take it.
I mean, that was they had to deal with that back then, but I think it was kind of cool, you know.
Yeah.
Where you just go in there and like so civilized, just hang your coat properly and just conversation instead of like now today's age where you just have to hang it behind the chair.
Oh yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
It just gets all dirty and it's annoying.
Yeah,
Can't pull out your chair and push it back in properly. That makes sense.
I know, especially when you have like a trench coat. Or,
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
it's just so annoying, and that's the thing. That's why I'm really angry with America because just like yeah, you're investing a lot of money in social security and entertainment business, but you cannot bring a simple coat hanger.
Yeah. You know, I wish there was, or it would be exciting if there was an invention on the market that was going to come out that it's somehow you hang your coat very efficiently and you can kind of like hang it sort of indiscreetly somewhere. I'm not sure how that would work.
Like you could have it to where it already has the hanger inside of the coat, and then you just like fold it down or something. I don't know.
I don't know. It needs like fold, so it's like half the size, without messing up the fabric. But then like have some hook that goes on underneath the table or something. It's discreet. That'd be convenient.
Interesting. Yeah.
I mean, that could work, but I think that's just for like not long clothing, kind of like
Yeah.
clothing. And I do get the concept similar to those kind of like back holders that you put on the corner of the table.
Mm-hmm.
Are those still a thing, or they're just gone?
They seem to be gone right now, but maybe that's because no one needed.
I know they're on like strollers, diaper bag holders. It's mom and me.
Yeah. For practical reasons, there's some places, but for impractical reasons, I guess coats and cloaks and capes haven't really been big enough, and long coats haven't been big enough, I suppose, to utilize those hooks properly.
That's true.
Yeah.
Also, there's also another question I have to say. I think you probably want to discuss this, is the fact that women in the pants area, you seem to be lacking pockets.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's the most annoying thing in the world, but okay.
Yeah, and actually in the last year, really the last 2 fashion seasons on the runways, we've been seeing some cargo pants or some, like, I guess, green, what do they call it? They call it like the factory jumpsuit or something like that. When it's kind of like this safari suit, or it's this kind of this overall-ish look, but the pockets are not at the hip area, because obviously that would ruin the proportions for the overly curvaceous women going to the gym and looking like Kim Kardashian right now. That just wouldn't work out. But
sorry, that's my talk.
No worries. Do you want me to wait?
Yeah, go for it.
I'll just wait. Be over. You're good.
How are we doing on time?
We're at 5 p.m. So it's been crap. At what time did we start this thing?
I don't know. I was asking you.
I would say we've probably been in the 40-minute mark. So, and I guess this is online. This is not on the physical radio room, so time is not per se a limiting factor. So I don't know. I'm the president, so your choice.
I'm the president. Okay, keep going, Rebecca.
All right, so we're fashion ways just in the last year is a lot of cargo pants, a lot of kind of the pockets are actually right above the knee, about 4 inches above the knee, and we're seeing pockets there because, I mean, women, they don't mind if right above their knee has some bulk weight to it. In fact, it actually kind of adds to the proportional balance of a heavier bottom half, which is kind of the more pear-shaped women that is more dominant in society, especially since the Kim Kardashian body craze. Let's all go to the gym and work on our middles, that area. So definitely there really is no functional pockets near the hips, but they have been starting to come up with more other creative ways to put pockets in your outfits.
That's true. But here's the thing, I don't get it. Like, okay, so you're not gonna put pockets in the hip area, then why give the illusion that there are pockets in there? Like, that's what I'm trying to understand. And this is a big complaint of me because, say, when I'm looking at suit jackets, like they'll have this thing where it's like, oh, it's a pocket. Oh, never mind, it's nothing.
Yeah. I think it's kind of the same reason why your butter is yellow and your milk is white. You know, milk actually isn't really that white, and butter actually isn't supposed to be yellow. And your cheese isn't really that yellow either, but they do artificial dyes and colorings. And the same with bananas. Bananas are pretty white on their own. But in America, we won't buy products if they don't fit to our ideal in our head. And so it throws us off too much, and we're very uncomfortable with change. You're more likely, marketing wise, you're more likely to buy the almond milk you've seen the advertisement for rather than the almond milk you haven't, just because it's familiar, it feels safe, it feels normal to you, and you think, I could try this. This doesn't seem that scary.
Yes,
Yeah.
I will definitely feel so much safer the fact that I'm going outside lacking pockets that I could use. I mean, I'm just saying, if you're gonna do the effort to like just stitch something that could easily be made into a pocket, I mean, why go with it?
Yeah, it is. It is confusing. I do wonder. Like, I know there's jeggings out there, but I'm very cautious of buying jeggings without fake pockets. I'm not sure why, but I need at least the stitching to be there, because then in my mind I look normal. I don't look awkward.
Yeah, but here's the thing: it's like they will put the effort to make it look like there's something in there when there is nothing. Like, is that the strange thing? It's
Lying.
like, let's just put the effort, let's put the resources to make
Yeah.
it look like there is something. It's just like,
Yeah.
dude, just
And
put a hole in it. That's all you need to do. Put a hole.
yeah, and I guess the same goes with the distressed jeans. Is like, there's no point on using a lot of pollution and using a lot of factory effort, because actually it's economically more harmful to buy jeans with holes in them than it is to buy jeans without holes in them. But for some reason, we still are kind of on that craze if we want a couple holes in our jeans to look more authentic. And I think we're really into looking authentic, but fake authenticity, not actual real authenticity. We don't want to go out and kill an alligator. We just want the alligator print on our boot.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't like that philosophy. If I'm gonna material, it better be original. If not, I'm not getting it.
Yeah, I think that's actually very also a dominant European trait too. If you look at European outfits, they look so effortless with neutral, but that's really because all of their neutrals are completely authentic. The leather's real, the white t-shirt is real, the black jeans are real leather, or the black pants are real, like very quality black pants. They're very much into what is real, not what is fake and what looks mass produced.
Yeah, I think that could be the reason about what you said, mass produced. I think, unlike Americans, I know the Europeans consume, but I don't think they consume to the degree an American would do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because when you think about it, when we go to the supermarket, I mean, say Walmart, Target, or everything, like they have their own like brands of clothing, like cheap clothing. While in Europe, going to the market, they're like marketplaces specific to the thing that you need.
Right. Like, there's a shop even just for like groceries and the rest of society, there's a shop specifically for the groceries. For the bread, there's actually a bakery for the bread. And then you're going to go over next door to the butcher for the meat. And then you go next door for the produce at the big central more market. And then like the cobbler, there's actually like a place to fix your shoes.
Yeah.
Where here we just throw them away and buy a new pair.
Yeah, I think that could be one reason why here in America, the whole concept of buying clothing that at least will look nice and will somewhat fit to your personal needs and emotional satisfaction. I think that could be one of the biggest trends.
Yeah.
Which is also kind of disappointing because sometimes you want a tailor-made outfit, but it's like hard to find.
Oh, for sure. Anything custom, anything specific for you, authentically for you. It's very difficult.
I know. Darn you, polyester.
Right. And something else is, it seems like as Americans, we kind of have a hobby of shopping. And it looks like, at least for the French, it looks like they have a hobby of eating. And I'm not saying we don't eat too. We do eat too, but it's, I think a bigger hobby would be shopping than eating.
Yes, well, when it comes to French hobbies, I would say I think it's shopping a French hobby specifically. There's other things I probably should not mention on this educational.
Oh, right. But I mean, like, there's so many things above shopping in a French person's like mind. They're not always thinking every weekend, let's go shopping with my friends.
Yeah.
And it seems very different than America, who that would be a very normal thing for a lot of women to go shop at least every weekend with their friends.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was America who actually revolutionized the craze of shopping with the concept of malls and now online shopping. So.
Oh yeah, it was America. You're correct.
Yeah.
I mean, I know before then the fashion was just like, hey, let's buy our good clothing from Europe, but then ever since the mall concept started, just like, hey, let's just go to the mall, let's go to North Park or something like that. Let's just hang out. They got clothing, boobies, food. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I want to say Macy's was the one that did a department store, but in America, but it could be something else.
I think it was J.C. Penney.
Okay.
No, actually, no. I think it was Sears.
You can always Google it.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, okay. So it was actually carried to the United States, but apparently it was started in French Paris in the 19th century, and it was called Bon Marché. I think Bon Marché.
Bon marché. Something, I don't know.
Something. Good walk. I'm not sure if that means good walk or good march, but it was actually it got pulled over right after that by John Wanamaker, who carried it to Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Philadelphia. Benjamin Franklin.
Yeah, it seems like everything's born from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Bifocals, funny.
Yeah, America technically.
America.
So yeah.
Okay.
Is there anything else? Anything from our fashion guru?
Well, I think it's always so fascinating. Just a note, I think it's always so fascinating to watch how what we desire and what we fear the most ends up playing into the fashion runways and ends up resonating with young women and young men across the nations, and how that can just really dominate the scene. As far as one example is Beyonce. She comes out with this Lemonade album with her in mustard yellow on a lot of the features and a lot of the movies. And then all of a sudden, we're actually seeing mustard yellow everywhere, just everywhere. And it was this craze. And I mean, even my boyfriend has a mustard yellow sweater, and I'm asking him, like, why did you buy this? And he goes, oh, I don't know. It was the selling. It was like one of the selling sweaters that right then. And the thing is just so funny to watch how just a very dominant movement that resonates with a lot of people just takes off, and a lot of people jump on it, whether that's looser pants with pockets 4 inches above the knee, or mustard yellow from Beyonce, or the grunge 90s look that the Backstreet Boys or whatever. Or that's a little later, but just kind of how that goes into it all.
So from what I'm understanding is that if we make Beyonce or whatever celebrities out there, I'm not up to what celebrity trends, but if they somehow start managing to wear medieval armor and capes, then people are gonna start doing that?
I think you've got a really good shot at that. I think it has to resonate with the people of the time as well. And right now, I wouldn't say that that's actually. I would not say that's a style factor that would be predictable as of the moment because of COVID-19. It actually, I think that things are going to become even more economically sustainable. We're going to push more for lower factory pollution in making our clothes. We're going to ask more questions about where it was manufactured. Fun fact, the tag only says the last city it was put together in, doesn't actually say the whole process of all the other numerous cities that it went through before that. And I think we're actually going to push for a more sustainable, economically sustainable era of fashion just because of the times that we're all collectively going through all together. We're realizing, okay, we need to be more conscientious because we don't know what's going to happen next. Mm.
True, or we could just throw that out of the window and start dressing like it was Mad Max, you know? It's kind of steampunk kind of outfits.
Yeah, we could go back to that. Who knows? But it would be interesting, and then to analyze back and why a lot of people and then why that resonated with people. Why did a lot of teenagers or young adults feel that draw to punk or steampunk right then, or why do we feel all this pull towards black right then? I think there's always reasons why big movements go towards different phases and crazes, and Malcolm Gladwell's got a really good book called The Tipping Point, and that kind of analyzes products throughout history if you're interested, and what tipped them into becoming a craze. So I think of fashion a lot in terms of how you described products and the tipping point. Yeah. Interesting. All right. Any last thoughts, Jack?
No. Start wearing capes and or Inquisition armor.
Join the movement. I'll agree with the capes. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. Keep in mind that all of the opinions expressed here are the explicit opinions of Jack. No one else.
I said it wrong.
No, Jack, you were so good today. It was amazing.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
Yeah, you just met me.
All right. Is the recording off yet?